More people now are more afraid of the devil than they are of God.
The reason why it irritates me is because it means that somebody must think I'm lying.
There were people there that you really look up to, but they're nothing like the way they appear on TV. One of them was Oprah Winfrey. She's far worse than you could ever imagine. She used me there. She's known as Epstein Bestie.
What if the person the world trusts most is actually the person we should have been watching most closely? For decades, she was the queen of daytime, the voice of healing, the woman who could turn a book into a bestseller and a politician into a president with a single nod. But lately, the air around Oprah Winfrey has changed. It's gotten heavy, thick with the kind of rumors that don't just go away after a news cycle. People are starting to look past the favorite things and the inspirational speeches, and what they're finding is a trail of connections that leads straight into the darkest corners of the global elite. We've all heard the names: Epstein, Weinstein, Diddy. Most people see them as isolated monsters, but a growing number of whistleblowers, including some of Hollywood's own, are suggesting they weren't isolated at all. They were part of a network, and at the center of that network stood a shield, a media mogul so powerful, so nice, that nobody dared to ask the hard questions, until now.
I've caused tremendous harm to myself and others through my decades of and love addiction.
So my intention was to make people think I was nice, or allow them to feel that I was nice.
You believe that there are big realms of good and evil, and they're slugging it out.
What does the evil side want?
Oh, it wants you. It wants you. People are capable of horrors, of atrocities. We're also capable of wonderful things, of good things. And we have the choice.
The breaking point for many wasn't a headline, but a whisper about what was left behind in the wake of Jeffrey Epstein's passing. There has been persistent talk of a final voicemail, a recording from a victim who knew the end was coming and wanted the truth out. This isn't just about names on a list. It's about the specific nature of the visits to that infamous Aryan island. For years, the mainstream media tried to tell us that the Lolita Express was just a high society taxi service. But as more documents are unsealed, that story is falling apart. The raw data being shared by truth seekers suggests that Oprah's private jet wasn't just a guest in those skies, it was a regular. We're talking about logs that allegedly show her aircraft physically present at Epstein's hub at least 11 different times.
And I personally didn't think he was going to commit suicide. But the thing is, he had from Oprah Winfrey to everybody on that island.
If you were, why would you continue to want to be around the person?
Now, the official fact checkers will tell you the island didn't even have a full airfield for those types of planes, but that's where the narrative gets tricky. We've seen the photos, the private docks, and the logistical workarounds that the ultra-wealthy use to move unseen. When 11 different flights are logged to the most infamous hub of human trafficking in modern history, you can't just call it a scheduling error. It points to a deep working connection. And it's not just the flights. In the unsealed court documents, her name or references to her circle appears multiple times. The network is in a state of absolute panic because these names are leaking out and the walls they built to protect their nice image are starting to crumble. Why would a billionaire media hero need to be in the orbit of a man like Epstein? Unless, of course, the charity and the empowerment were just the front for something far more sinister.
Well, because I was trying to calmly leave and not cause a thing. No apologies necessary.
When Oprah's like, stand up and show me your body, show us why you're worthy of being here. That was so not okay.
I speak about that woman because she's spoken about me. And when you begin to speak about me privately, I'm going to speak about you publicly.
While the media was busy polishing Oprah's crown, one man was in the trenches trying to scream at the top of his lungs. Jim Caviezel, the actor who once portrayed the most famous figure in history in The Passion of the Christ, didn't just walk away from Hollywood, he was pushed. Or rather, he chose to jump after seeing what was really happening behind the scenes. He transitioned from being an A-list star to what he calls a digital soldier, and his mission centered around a film that the industry tried its hardest to bury, Sound of Freedom.
As a machine, the machine can predict when a crime is going to happen. It's through a social security number that shows up randomly. But the whole thing with it is we don't know if they're going to be the victim or the perpetrator.
Over 300,000 children under the ages of 18 were into the deepest recesses of hell, and it's disgusting that the media hasn't covered it like they should.
And so he called me, he says, if you do this movie, you may never work in this town again. I don't want to be responsible for that.
It's just a coincidence that many elites in Hollywood and big tech are also some of the harshest critics of the Sound of Freedom movie.
Jim Caviezel did not remain silent throughout that protracted wait. During that time, he gathered further evidence and strengthened his case against those attempting to conceal the film. He discovered that the individuals obstructing the truth were also Jeffrey Epstein's cronies. They were the same individuals that went to Oprah Winfrey's gatherings. At that moment, Jim transitioned from being a well-known actor to participating in the biggest secret war in history.
These children represent God. They're the most innocent and like God, and that's why the devil wants to kill them, wants to hurt them. It's always been this way since Pharaoh, and then to Herod, and to now, but more than ever.
This is hardly a haphazard bunch of crooks. It is a covert Hollywood organization that collaborates behind the scenes to exert power. He claims that this network consists of individuals who manage a worldwide ring and collaborate directly with several A-list celebrities. By dominating the three primary pillars of society, Hollywood, the major news media, and public opinion, these individuals conceal their darker sides. They can do anything because they have power over those three factors, and then they can just order news outlets to label everyone who brings it up as insane. However, the names are known, and the proof is unambiguous.
The reason why it irritates me is because it means that somebody must think I'm lying. That's number one. Number two, why would you want to hide it? That is not the way I run my life.
According to Jim Caviezel's remarks, there are some well-known people who serve as the public faces of this shadow world. This network is set up so that any probe that comes to light is promptly shut down by amiable media executives. Additionally, Oprah Winfrey fits into the jigsaw for just this reason. These assertions indicate that she is an important member of these organizations. She has enormous riches inside the financial elite, widespread popular confidence in the entertainment sector, and solid established ties to prominent individuals, making her a wealthy media hero. Supporters claim that because of her relationships with these celebrities, she is one of the network's most important assets, offering friendly media protection for purportedly sinister acts taking place behind closed doors. In truth, Jim disclosed the dark reality of the elite's demands in an emotional interview.
Essentially, you have a in your body. I'll just simplify it. And when you are scared, you produce the drug.
So Rose McGowan has put Oprah on blast.
He seemingly suggested in the caption that Oprah knew the Hollywood producer was mistreating women.
And if we make this just about Harvey Weinstein, then we will have lost this moment.
The problem is that this chemical cannot only be produced for its particular uses in a clean laboratory. The most heinous methods must be used to get it. And although this may seem a bit unsettling, children are made to feel really afraid in order to get this goods. Jim has shown courage by outlining this terrible procedure and disclosing to the public the negative aspects of Oprah's social group.
A child knows he's going to, his body will secrete this, and they have a lot of terms that they use that he takes me through. But
Caviezel claims that the main force behind the illicit international supply chain for minors is the desire for this item. A constant flow of victims is necessary for elites. For this reason, they need a Hollywood social network. For this reason, they operate under the guise of respectable companies and charitable organizations. To transport victims to extraction locations, they need private aircraft and enormous sums of money. And it gets us right to Oprah Winfrey's door. According to Jim Caviezel's information, she is closely connected to the group that makes this whole operation feasible.
There are no wrong paths. There are none.
To understand how someone stays untouchable for 40 years, you have to look at who they keep in their inner circle. It's a pattern that's becoming impossible to ignore. Let's look at Harvey Weinstein. Long before the Me Too movement, everyone in the industry knew who he was. But whenever a victim tried to speak up, they were met with a wall. And standing right in front of that wall was often Oprah. She wasn't just acquainted with him, she was his social legitimacy. There are pictures of her pissing him on the cheek, laughing with him at parties, swinging hanging off his arm at events. To a victim, that image is devastating. It says, if the most powerful woman in the world thinks he's a great guy, who are you to complain?
I think this is a watershed moment. And if we make this just about Harvey Weinstein, then we will have lost this moment.
One victim, Katie Noble, described a scene where Weinstein used his proximity to Oprah to trick her into a hotel room, creating a false sense of security that led to a nightmare. And what did Oprah do when the truth finally came out? She did what all members of this hidden network do. They pivot. She turned it into a watershed moment for society, moving the spotlight away from her personal role in shielding him onto a vague general problem. It was a masterclass in media manipulation.
He was with Naomi Campbell, he had Oprah Winfrey there with him, who entered the room and was swinging off his arm and just seemed like a very dear friend. And Georgina, they all sat at his table, and for me, you know, meeting Oprah was like, oh my God, like, I would have thought that
the parties, the inner circle,
I would have to be someone who's established, who everyone would have had to know about before I was privileged enough to meet
These are the
someone like
regular
Oprah.
operating procedures of a social shield. Her job is to
represent
provide
God.
cover,
They're
to
the
make the
most
monsters
innocent
look
and like
human
God, and
until
that's
the
why the
very
devil
second they're caught.
wants to
And
get
even
them.
then, she's
Wants to hurt
already
them. It's
prepared
always
the
been this
next
way since
distraction.
Pharaoh, and then to Herod, and to now, but more than ever.
This was obviously an effort to prevent exposure of the larger network. If people concentrate too much on Harvey Weinstein, they may discover that he is related to all other influential individuals. Industry insiders, however, were well aware of the truth. On social media, musician Seal openly criticized Oprah. He shared this photo of her kissing Harvey Weinstein on the cheek on Instagram. You have been contributing to the issue for decades, but all of a sudden they believe you are the solution, Seal said straight to her. Oh, I forgot. Yes, exactly. You had heard the whispers, but you were unaware that he was really abusing young, attractive actresses on a regular basis. Harvey Weinstein is not the last person in this pattern of standing next to influential people. Diddy and Oprah have also been close. She often went to his well-known parties. And we can learn a lot from this. Her presence is often documented whenever there is a center of the elite. These are not errors. These are an elite group member's regular operating procedures. Her role is to provide operators legitimacy and amiable cover for their illicit actions. Customers are distracted from the ugliness that lurks inside her circle by the dazzling lights of her television programs. She is one of the network's most valuable assets due to her enormous riches and widespread trust. The ultimate Hollywood shield is her.
Federal judge immediately rejected a defense request for a mistrial in the trafficking trial of music mogul Sean Diddy Cohn.
The clearest piece of evidence that Caviezel had uncovered was the direct connection between Jeffrey Epstein and Oprah Winfrey. The problem is that Epstein was the network's main source for extortion and a convicted criminal. We are well aware that he operated a big illicit network from his own island. Little St. James was the name of Little American Island, Virgin Islands. The world's elite could fly in and participate in the most heinous atrocities without worrying about the authorities, since the location was well guarded. However, Epstein wasn't operating in isolation. Jim Caviezel's revelations provided him with funding and protection. He collaborated closely with Ghislaine Maxwell, who ultimately received a 20-year federal jail term for recruiting underage girls and engaging in human trafficking. Epstein needed a steady flow of victims and money to run this enterprise. The data shows that Oprah Winfrey and Epstein's island are directly related. Flight tracking information and hard facts show that her private plane was physically present on Epstein's island 11 times. Additionally, there are 5 references to her in the files. The raw data maintained by the truth seekers is unchangeable, despite attempts by major media sources and their fact-checkers to conceal this, saying the island does not even have an airfield. It is just not possible to write off 11 different flights to the most infamous hub in the world as a scheduling issue. This enormous frequency of travel demonstrates Oprah and Epstein's close working connection. Oprah is allegedly a member of the Epstein network on paper, in addition to the flight records. The court-released Epstein docs mention her 5 times. The network is in a state of extreme fear as a result of the exposure of these materials. The names are leaking out, and the walls are starting to collapse.
Epstein killed himself.
And Maxwell got convicted without any of the end users being identified, which is impossible.
The followers of this movement are already aware that Jim Caviezel and his group have the evidence. These monsters have more than just Oprah Winfrey as a buddy. She was an invaluable resource. If her luxury island vacations aren't enough, we also need to examine how she manages her purported charity school, since there is where the evidence becomes even more sinister.
There have been reports all over the years of some maltreatment and abuse happening in Oprah Winfrey's school, and of course her name is connected to it because it's under her leadership.
Many fan groups think that prominent elites run covert networks that are concealed by international organizations, charities, and celebrity foundations. Oprah is perhaps one of the most well-known figures often brought up in these conversations, particularly in light of her Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa. In 2007, the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls was established in the vicinity of Johannesburg, South Africa. It attracted a lot of media attention at the time, and was portrayed as a chance for underprivileged girls to change their lives. However, the Academy's scandal throughout the years provided a lot of conversation starters.
Shortly after the school opened, a matron of the school was charged with touching several of the girls in a very inappropriate manner.
Matron was accused of mistreating pupils, according to records from the school's early years. The case hurt the school's image and made headlines throughout the world. The worst part, however, was that Oprah thanked parents who decided to pull their kids out of school while publicly addressing the issue.
Welcome. I bless you in removing your child from the big school, because my number one priority is the safety and well-being.
These arguments suggest that the facility was involved in more extensive activities related to Epstein's network. Some have even connected the school to reports of missing children in Africa, highlighting more significant worldwide problems in many nations. These assertions often make reference to significant occurrences like the Nigerian schoolgirl tragedy in 2014. The originator of Operation Underground Railroad, Tim Ballard, gained notoriety for carrying out covert operations to combat child trafficking.
We live in a fake society, Hoda, and I have waxed poetic and become a bit of a militant about the cosmeceutical industry that are feeding young people, unfortunately, that you can do something to change the way you look when you can't. That's just not what you want to do when you're 25 or 26. And I regretted it immediately and have kind of sort of regretted it since.
Oprah Winfrey and her cronies in the entertainment sector create the false standards for beauty, and Jamie Lee Curtis has determined to expose them.
She's a woman who's not loved. She's a woman who uses her power in her job to control people because she has no love in her life.
Jamie did more than just condemn these unrealistic ideals of beauty in a string of interviews that stunned the entertainment industry. She termed it genocide. Not only did Jamie Lee target specific celebrities, but she also shamed the industry titans responsible for peddling the illusion of flawless beauty. Plus, the lady she is yelling out to right now is the biggest deal.
Their circumstances of their life are diametrically different than mine. The industry that they were raised in and worked in is completely different than the industry I work in.
I think about surpassing my parents, which I have, emotionally. I've surpassed my parents with sobriety. My mother was restricted by what the industry wanted from her and expected from her and would allow from her.
What Jamie Lee has seen, what she has been through, and what she's now fighting against is not simply about vanity or beauty standards. It's about something far darker. She feels that, because to the bogus narrative spread by Oprah and the business, a whole generation of genuine beauty is being wiped forever. Because that's the reality nobody wants you to understand. The anti-aging business isn't anti-aging at all. It's anti-human, and it's been propped up by voices like Oprah's for decades.
I have a nice figure. I can't, hide it, that I have a nice figure, and I've used it, hopefully, mostly in humor. Very rarely do you find a movie that I've done where the whole body, physical side of me is used in a kind of serious, dark way.
Jamie Lee Curtis is the first A-list star strong enough and furious enough to say it out loud. And what she's presenting goes even deeper. She's blowing the lid off a system that includes Oprah Winfrey, Hollywood's elite, and a multi-billion-dollar machine meant to make every woman feel like she's not good enough.
When you're pregnant, people are like, don't use any of the things you use when you're not pregnant because it's all poison. And you're like, what? Only when you're hosting a parasite can you treat yourself well? It just seems a little messed up.
So to understand why Jamie Lee is ringing sirens that Hollywood would prefer quiet, we need to journey back to a period when the studio system didn't just possess actors' contracts. It owned their faces.
I became very aware of the dangers of what goes on around the world with children. And a lot of the agents I worked with over the time had mentioned and talked about and how really bad this actually is.
We live in a world where the truth is often hidden in plain sight, disguised as entertainment or charity. For a long time, we were told that the connections between the media elite and the world's most notorious criminals were just regrettable errors or bad luck in picking friends. But the data, the flight logs, and the voices of the victims tell a different story. They tell a story of a network that requires a constant flow of victims and a constant stream of distractions to keep the machine running. Jim Caviezel tried to warn us that this was a war, not just a series of scandals. And as the Epstein trial records continue to leak and the Diddy investigations move forward, the fear inside that network is becoming visible. They are in a panic because the movement for truth is finally beyond their control. The walls are starting to collapse and the names are coming out. The only question left is, once the mask is fully off, will we have the courage to see what's actually underneath? Or will we let them sell us another favorite thing to make us look away again? The silence is being broken, and for the first time in 40 years, the world is finally starting to listen. What are your thoughts? Is this the end of an era or just another pivot in a very long game?